So guys, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. You can clap if you want to. There we go. Thank you. So I am in the Bronx now, and I'm very happy to be here. Some of you may or may not know this, that I actually grew up in the Bronx. I did. I grew up in the Bronx. As a kid, I actually was here as a little kid, and I grew up right by Yankee Stadium. So some of you may remember, if you're old enough like me, Yankee Stadium was a crazy, awesome place to be in the 70s and the 80s. Yankees were awesome back then, but you know, they were. But something else, though. I remember getting pizza from a local place called Joe's Pizza, which is on 161st Street. Some people may remember if you're old enough. And that pizza, I remember, cost 45 cents for a slice of pizza. That's how old I am. And I remember the first time they went to 45 cents because pizza used to be 40 cents. But I went there one day. I was probably 6 or 7. I forgot. Yes, back in those days, you could walk around as a little kid and no one would thought you would die. And I walked around there to get a slice of pizza. And I gave the guy 50 cents. And he gave me a nickel back. And I said, no, you made a mistake. You got to give me 10 cents back. He said, no, it's 45 cents. Welcome to inflation. That was the first time that I remember inflation. Pizza going from 40 cents to 45 cents. But the cool thing about Joe's Pizza is the people who worked there were Joe's family. Joe was there, his family was there. It was a family business. If you go down a little bit lower and turn right, there was actually a fish store there. Local people would get fish. That's gone now too. But Joe passed away. But you know who picked up his pizza shop? His daughter. Her name was Paula. So Joe's Pizza became Paula's Pizza. And it was still good pizza. Now if you go there, it's a Subway. Yeah, it's a Subway. And not that I'm against Subway. I'm not against Subway. Please enjoy Subway if you like sandwiches. I hope you enjoy it. But my worry is the guy or gal who owns the Subway probably doesn't live in the Bronx. Because most of the time they don't. Which means that now what was a local business run by local people who lived in the Bronx is gone now. It's gone now. You might say, well, Larry, why do you care so much? Because as Dion Powell, who was speaking here earlier, said, he mentioned a very important thing. The Bronx is the poorest county in the state. It is. You would think, well, it's going to be some Western New York or it's going to be some, you know, North Country County. No, it's the Bronx. The poorest county in the state. Also the bluest county in the state. Both of those things. It's one-party rule that makes a poor county. So why is that county poor? There's a critical aspect, and it's represented by that Subway. It is the ownership mindset. Local people not owning their own community. Local people not owning their own stores. When I was a kid in the 70s, and I grew up in the 70s in the Bronx, you'd have girls who would sit in a stoop and they would braid hair to make money. It's a common thing. Some of you remember that? Not anymore. That's against the law. I'm not joking. It's against the law. You got to have a license to braid hair, you know, and you can't believe it. That's true. That's true. You can't braid hair. You need a license to braid hair now. To get that license will cost you about $20,000 to go to college. I'm not joking. So what does that mean? That means that literally state agents go through areas, usually the Bronx and Manhattan usually, sometimes Brooklyn too. They'll go through and look for people who are braiding hair illegally and find them. They will punish the poor even more for trying to make money with something that matters to them. And I would ask you a very maybe non-PC question. But what in the world does some bureaucrat in Albany know about a black woman's hair? I would say not a damn thing. That's what I would say. But yet they're making decisions on that. And they shouldn't. And they shouldn't. But I'm still not done. When I was a kid in the 70s, cabs wouldn't come to my neighborhood. They wouldn't come to my neighborhood. So how did we get around? We had gypsy cabs. There was no Uber when I was a kid. That didn't exist. So one guy would take one of his car doors. He painted a different color. So it'd be a blue car. He painted a red door. So we knew, oh, that's the guy. That's the gypsy cab guy. because he painted his car, one of his car doors, different color. We knew he was a gypsy cat. So we get inside, give him some dollars, take us around where we have to go. And usually I had family also in Brooklyn. So usually the gypsy cat would take us from the bad neighborhood in Bronx to the bad neighborhood in Brooklyn. That's kind of where we usually went to. Yes, that's how it worked when I was a kid. But you might say, Larry, why do I care? Because now you have a medallion system and punishing of Uber that now you can't even make money in your own car. This again was individuals deciding to use their own resources, their own cars, to actually make money and survive in a poor neighborhood. But I'm still not done. On the corner, you'd always see two things. One, you would see people who are banging out dents of cars. Back then, they made cars of metal. Back in the day, that's what it is. They used to be made of metal, exactly right. So they would bang them out and buff them out. They'd make money for that. Now, you do that now, you get fined. They made that. It was common. Not just that they would open up the fire hydrants. So remember this, is down by the river, they open up fire hydrants, and they wash your car for you. So you drive up there, and they have the fire hydrant out, and they wash the car for you. You pay them a couple bucks to wash your car. Again, you're saying, well, Larry, what are you doing? This is the entrepreneurial spirit that was in the poor community that is now destroyed. This is the ownership mentality that is now destroyed. The reason why the Bronx is poor is because the ownership mentality is gone in most of the Bronx. We are waiting for government to take care of us. We are waiting for government to save us. We keep waiting, and it doesn't happen. Government does not save. Government maintains. Government services. It doesn't help. It services. It ensures that you will stay exactly where you are. You won't go much lower, but you'll hover right there. You sure won't go up. Because the second you try to go up, I will put you back down. I will put you back down, because what Jonathan said, he said it. He said, if I'm government and I solve a problem, I'm out of work. I can't solve poverty. Well, then how can I tax you to give money to the poor if there's no poor? So I got to make sure there's always poor, right? I got to make sure someone's always in trouble. You might say, well, Larry, you're going to say this is a magical world if government goes away? No, not at all. But I'm going to tell you, here's the biggest problem. Every time you add government, you remove community. Every single time. And as you add government, you remove community. And government doesn't help. Government services and maintains. So as more government comes in, everyone just stays at a low level. But I would ask you, anybody you know, and I did this for myself. Some of you know my mom, she was a convicted felon. She was an addict. And when she got out of prison, she had to get a second chance. Let me ask you, you know what big business came and helped her? Yeah, none. That's not what happens. Big business goes out of its way to create environments so they don't hire that kind of person. That's the riffraff. We can't have those people. Who's going to help someone like that? A local person in that community who owns a business, who wants to give that person a second chance. And my mom got her second chance in a diner. She got a second chance in a diner. But it wasn't good enough. She tried to do something else. She actually got a job in an office. She did. She used to work in a bank. But that was gone. She couldn't work in a bank anymore. She was a felon. She got it in the office. It wasn't a bank. She got a job in an office. And she was so scared of doing anything. And as her boss would be mean and ask more of her, she said yes to anything. Why? She was a hostage. Because she lost that job, there was no other job for her. Her answer was go back in the dole like most of her friends who came out of prison did. Or go in a black market like most of her friends from prison did. Or go get arrested and go back to jail like most of her friends from prison did. So I said no. You know what I did? I started a business. I saw that entrepreneur spirit. People say, Larry, you're a good entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. It's true. I've been an entrepreneur over 20 years now. I haven't had a job in 20 years and I'm happy, right? It's true. I didn't start that way. I was a Marine for 7 years. I didn't know how to start a business. I was a teacher for 4 years. I didn't know how to start a business. But I just saw my mom in trouble and I said, that's how you do it. So we started a business, a trucking business. And I made my mom 100% owner. It was me, my mom, she had remarried my stepdad. We ran the business. I made her 100% owner. I took no ownership. And my stepdad said, you'll have no ownership or I'm not in. That's the deal breaker. She has 100% ownership or I'm not in. And he knew I was going to run it. He was right. I was the one who got it going. Why? Because if my mom's the owner, no one can ever fire her. Hostage situation ended. We ran that business for a couple of years. They got it up and running. I left. My mom ran that business until she retired and moved to South Carolina because New York State's so oppressive. She couldn't retire here. That's what actually happened. That's why I became an entrepreneur. Why do I tell you that story? Because entrepreneurship, the local business owner, is the person who actually supports the community. The system wasn't set for my mother. A local entrepreneur helped her out. A local business got her started. And then a business got rid of her hostage situation. You want to change any area, urban, rural, doesn't matter. If they're struggling and they're poor, here's what I guarantee you. The government is all over that place. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. If it's a rural area in New York, here's what happens. Everyone in the county, a poor county, works for the state. They work for the prison, or they work for the SUNY University, or they work for the teachers' unions. They all work for the government. Government keeps them down. Again, of course it does. You can hardly see anything except for a Dollar General or a Walmart, which are actually big companies who come in and crush the small guys. We want to make sure we have an environment to where government is not the only answer. That's the critical piece. So, Larry, should we destroy government? Well, I'm not going to go that far right now. Maybe not now. Maybe not now. Here's what I'm going to say. I want to make sure that government is not a monopoly. Most people would say they don't like monopoly. Anybody here like monopoly? Maybe the game, maybe, but not actual monopolies, right? We don't like actual monopolies. Of course not. Well, government is a monopoly by default. So they try to scam us, though, here, particularly in New York City. They scam us. Our Mayor de Blasio will say, Larry, you don't understand. This isn't a government agency. This is a nonprofit. It's a local community nonprofit. That's what he will tell you. And you go, whoa, this sounds great. It's community. But it's funded by the government, 100%. If it's funded by the government 100%, it's just the government agency filled with non-unionized workers. That's all it is. It's a government agency manned by staffed by non-union workers. I thought you're helping the people. You won't even unionize them. You won't even unionize them. So you're taking our dollars, giving it to a nonprofit, giving them all the strings attached that a government agency has, and not even unionizing. That's how New York City does it right. That's still a monopoly. But we can change that. Many ways we can change it. I'll give you a couple ideas that could work here in the Bronx. I'll deal with housing, I'll deal with businesses, and I'll deal with nonprofits. All three real fast I can help you right now. Housing. Why in the world are we not allowing people in public housing to purchase their homes? I'm dead serious. Why aren't you allowing people in public housing to purchase their homes? And what I push back all the time is, Larry, you don't get it. A lot of these people, they're paying your rent through government subsidies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're right. Some of that's true. But imagine you can do one of two things. Over time, they can buy their home, or we can pay their rent forever. I'm going to go with you could buy the home is what I'm going to go with versus pay their rent forever. And worse, never get an ownership mentality. So I'm going to pay their rent forever and their kids' rent forever and their grandkids' rent forever. Or I can let them have the idea of, wait a minute, I own this apartment. Maybe I should treat it differently. Maybe I should care about it. Maybe I can own it one day and I'll understand what equity is. I'll think about owning my own life. That takes care of one other important thing, gentrification. Gentrification is only bad when you're a renter. When you're an owner, it's awesome, right? It's great when you're an owner. It's only bad when you're a renter. But not just that. If you're the owner, you control gentrification. You can decide to buy or sell your home. You can control gentrification, and you now win if your property value goes up. But I'll go one step further. Once you own it, now your kids see you owning. Now your children see you owning something. That is a whole different world. You look at our life right now, so many of our youngsters don't own anything. Everything is rental. Nothing is ownership. Ownership matters of your life, your property, your liberty, everything. You should have an ownership mentality. Imagine that. For anyone here who doesn't know this, I want you to think for a second who you are as a person. Whoever you are as a person, imagine if in your life you had never seen your parents ever go to work. So imagine that for a second. You had never seen your mother or your father ever go to work. Never saw it. What if you never saw your grandparents go to work? You never saw it. It wasn't a part of your life. You never saw your parents go to work. You never saw your grandparents go to work. Whoever you are right now, you would not be that person. You would not be who you are right now. Guaranteed. If you had never seen your family go off to work. We have people in this borough, and many of them, who are in that situation. And we wonder why they have no ownership mentality. Because we have allowed them to exist in the world where going to work is not assumed. And we are mad at them. Don't be mad at them. We allowed the system to exist. We did that, not them. We did it. And we can change it by giving them an ownership mentality. That's housing. Second, business. Why in the world do we have so many licensing issues in New York State? Right now, we have inflation in New York State, all over the place, across the country, but also in New York State. How do you decide to handle that? And how can you buffer that inflation while at the same time improving people, letting them grow? Licensing. Licensing is an issue. I spoke to someone on the phone today, and if she happens to be watching, she will laugh at me. She was talking about some of the things she's trying to do and where she is to grow a business. And she's having to spend thousands of dollars on getting licensed. This lovely woman is not wealthy. She's just trying to grow her business, grow her life, get herself in a better spot, and she has to spend thousands of dollars just to be licensed to do work on people who would say yes to her. And the example I'll give is braiding hair. In this case, it's not that, but it's braiding hair. How about barbershops? How about that? But Larry, I don't want to go to some guy or gal who's not licensed. Awesome, don't go. I'm not forcing you. This doesn't mean that no one gets licensed or credentialed anymore. All I'm saying is turn licensing into credentialing. What does that mean? The state can still decide what it thinks is best for anything, whatever it likes. And you have a choice as a consumer to decide, do I care about that state credential or not? If you do not go to a barber that is not credentialed by the state because you think you're worried, you're scared. Don't go. But if you don't mind, and you actually think that Pookie's pretty good at cutting hair, then go to Pookie and get your hair cut. I don't mind. But Larry, people will die. Hold on. Literally, you can go to Walmart or any store and buy a little hair clipper, and you can clip your hair. Millions of people are clipping their own hair across this country every single year. Thank you, millions. When I was in the Marine Corps, and some of you who are in the military know this, every weekend there's somebody in the bathroom cutting hair for a couple bucks. You remember, right? They're doing it. They're in the bathroom cutting hair for a couple bucks, right? This happens thousands of times every weekend on military bases across the nation, across the world. Where are all the deaths from haircuts? They don't exist. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It's a money grab. It is a war on the poor. Where's big haircut? That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. The guy or gal who becomes a barber to cut hair is somebody who's trying to use their labor to get ahead, and we are crushing them. You need a license to walk a dog in this city. I'm not joking. Where's big dog walkers? That's not a thing. All of these are made to crush the poor. So turn licensing to credentialing and let people work. Let people work. The more you do that, the better off the poor communities will be. But more importantly, what is inflation? Too much money. So how do you fix inflation? More labor and products. to balance out the money. So let people work to create more products and labor, and you will create a buffer zone for inflation. It's like not even Econ 101, that's like Econ 100. I mean, that's nothing. That's high school. And we haven't figured this out. So that's business. Third, nonprofits. You really want community to help? You really want community to help? Here's what I would ask you. If you know someone who's in trouble, they're an addict, they're a felon, they have a mental disorder, they've got some problem, they're in trouble because their spouse passed away, they got divorced, they're in trouble in some way, shape, or form, they got a bad resume, whatever. Who's going to help that person best? Someone with a bunch of state credentials or someone who's been through it? Which one? If you've had someone with that problem, you already know it's someone who's been through it. Every single time, they're going to help better than someone who's just straight state credentialed. I'm not against state credentialing, but I am against stopping people who've been through it, who want to have a helping hand to fix things, helping people in their communities. They know better. How do we support that? Simple concept. Taxes. Lower taxes, Larry. I'm not saying that we should lower taxes, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, instead, imagine if you got to send a check to Albany, our capital, every single year, you can, instead of sending $500 of that bill to Albany, you can send $250 of that to any nonprofit you want. If it's in your county, it's doubled, $500. You go, Larry, it's $500. What's that? Imagine if 1,000 people do it. Imagine if 10,000 people do it. Now, all of a sudden, your community can decide what they need most. And it's not, does not be government sponsored. So let's say in your community, your problem is childcare, or your problem is addiction services, or your problem is homelessness. Whatever is your problem in your community, you go, I need to fix this thing. The government hasn't fixed it. Jonathan already told us government doesn't fix problems. We didn't know that. They don't fix it. They maintain it. They're good at that. They're good at that. They maintain it. So now we decide we're going to have another group. I'm going to decide that I can solve the homeless problem better. So you're going to now give me the money, and I'm going to try. What if I fail? What happens? What if you give me 1,000 of you, give me $500, I get $500,000, I try this thing, I fail. What do you guys do next time? What happens? Tell me. Yes, I don't get the money anymore. You go, wow, Larry, you're full of it. You suck. You can't have our money anymore. Goodbye, loser. That's what you do. I get it. What if I'm a government agency and I fail? What happens? I get more money. My reward for failure is more money. Clearly, we didn't fund them enough. So I get extra cash if that happens. Isn't that great? But what if I'm really good at it and I do it really well? What do you guys all do? You keep doing it and you get more people to do it. And now I start having successes. And when I have successes, now people who are in trouble have a choice. They can go to the government, which still exists. We don't get rid of it. It still exists. Or they can come to my idea. Well, my idea gets good. But Jonathan's even smarter than me. They think it was possible, but he is. And he's got a better way of doing it, a different way of doing it, because he's been through some stuff himself. And he does something different. And now people go to him or me, and they stop going to the government. So one of two things happens. The government gets better or it goes away. Both are the right answer. But in either case, people are actually helped. Because for you to give me or Jonathan your money, I don't have to show you that I tried. I have to show you success. Or you're not going to give me the money. That's how the market works. We do that, we change all poor communities. Just those three ideas, we can make that happen. I would ask you, has any Democrat or any Republican given you any ideas like that to solve any of these things? And the answer is no, because they don't. If I was a Democrat, all I would say is, Republicans bad. That's all I would say. If I'm a Republican, I go, Democrats bad. That's all I do. I don't have to have any answer whatsoever. That's how it works. I have to have answers. Here's the best part. If any of you support me, and I hope you will all support me in 2022, if I win, this changes the nation overnight. I'm not joking. The entire nation changes overnight if I win. Imagine what happens. Immediately, people stop becoming libertarian because they wanted to be libertarian, but they didn't think anybody could win. Holy crap, Larry Sharpe can win. Let's become libertarians. Lots of people will. Why would they, Larry? They'll never get 51% of the Senate or 51% of so-and-so. You don't have to. Imagine right now in our state Senate here in New York, if there were just 3 libertarians, we would run the Senate. Imagine if there were 2 libertarians in D.C., run the Senate. We would be the swing vote with just 2 or 3. Joe Manchin should be a libertarian tomorrow. Absolutely he would. Yes, he would. All of a sudden we'd have him. Absolutely, 100%. That would happen. And that's the change I'm talking about. We'd have an actual third party that can make impact, that could talk across the aisle. No more division like it is anymore. Things would change. But Larry, you might not win. I know there's a small chance I don't win. Fine. Fine. Let's say I don't. Let's say I only come in second. Imagine the change that's takes. This is impact. If you go back to your old ways of voting, I'll just vote Democrat because I'm a Democrat, or I'll vote Republican because I'm a Republican, or worse, I'll vote Democrat because I hate Republicans, or I'll vote Republican because I hate Democrats. Either of those reasons are all bad. We get exactly the same thing. More division, more pain, more decay. Remember, you're either growing or decaying. We are decaying. You can only cruise downhill. And man, are we cruising. I'm asking for change. Of all you people here, thank you for coming. I'm asking you all for change. Please do me a favor. Support what I'm trying to achieve. Do what Jonathan said. If you can donate money, please donate. If you can't donate, please like, comment, share. It does matter. If you can't do that, tell your friends. This is an important campaign. And in 2022, I think, I'm totally biased, but I don't care, the most important campaign of all history. There we go. Yes, I'm a little biased, but that's okay. The most important of all history. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you.